Hi, today we will talk about 4 key elements to learn Spanish quickly and effectively while keeping things fun. First things first, set your priorities. If you were thinking about training for a marathon, getting a good pair of running shoes would be a higher priority than buying an expensive pair of shorts. We all know style is important, but you don't absolutely need designer wear to get started, right? It is a similar story with learning Spanish. Prioritizing is key, and learning the words and verbs most commonly used will help you move faster. Many students end up bored and discouraged when they are forced to learn long lists of conjugation tenses that even native speakers rarely use. Think of the way children learn. Do they start to write questions in subjunctive at first? No. They start with simple words, simple verbs, and simple sentences, and learning to write grammar correctly takes them years. See how they flow. They listen, they talk using simple words, they talk using simple sentences, and then, years later, they learn to write grammar correctly, or let's say at an acceptable level. So, prioritizing the words, verbs, and topics to study will translate into accelerating the process of learning Spanish. Making it fun and keeping things interesting. Simplified persistence. Have you ever noticed how time flies when you're doing something fun and how minutes feel like hours or days when you're doing something you hate? If you think about it, when you do something you really like or something fun, being persistent is not really an issue because you enjoy it. The key term here is persistence. As with most things, from learning to ride a bicycle all the way to learning how to be a good kisser, persistence is very important. Traditional language courses tend to forget this and end up being boring, which makes persistence a rather difficult endeavor. For example, something like memorize preterite and subjunctive conjugations of these 20 irregular verbs for next week's test doesn't really sound like a lot of fun, does it? Language courses are usually biased by traditional teaching theories originally designed for other types of subjects like history or philosophy. In real life, when you visit a foreign country, you will only need the basics to get your message across and continue learning on your own. The important thing is making it fun and interesting, and this can be done by selecting study materials about topics that interest you. For example, if you buy fashion magazines in your native language, get some fashion magazines in Spanish. If you like funny morning radio shows in English, download a bunch of them in Spanish. And if you like watching TV, you gotta get some of those fun telenovelas, the Latin version of soap operas. They're hilarious. You gotta get them. The point here is that after you cover the basics of Spanish, make sure to select study materials, that is, songs, podcasts, TV shows, movies, magazines, books, etc., centered around topics that you consider interesting or entertaining. If you do that, being persistent will not require a lot of effort on your part. It will be easy. It will be fun. Getting things done. Choosing a path to follow. Besides having clear priorities and selecting interesting and entertaining study materials, having a clear idea of the path to follow in order to learn Spanish is another essential aspect to consider. Learning Spanish is like running a race. You start from point A, not knowing how to speak Spanish, and you want to get to point B, knowing how to write and speak Spanish well. This journey will be much faster if you choose a straight line instead of a curvy road that goes around a mountain. The point I'm trying to make is that learning Spanish is not just about getting started. It is also about finding a path that gets you where you want to go in as little time as possible. This is not directly related to having a good teacher. It has more to do with the method selected to learn Spanish, and because of this, choosing your path wisely will save a lot of time and effort. Practice frequently. Practicing constantly is crucial when learning a new language. Don't worry too much about grammar or speaking perfectly. The important thing is to allow your brain to listen and speak constantly so it can fill the gaps as you move along. Just keep moving and practicing, and your brain will take care of the rest. By practicing constantly, you will realize the things you actually need to learn in order to move forward. In conclusion, study the most useful things first. What to learn. Select study materials you consider interesting or entertaining to facilitate persistence. Select a path that will allow you to accomplish your goals without wasting time and effort, and practice constantly. Well, that's it for today. To learn more, visit learningspanishforbeginners.com. See you next time. Hasta la próxima.